All right. I know we're just waiting. I'm giving some people some time. We're gonna go over the XY or XY. I don't know why I keep saying XY. XZ security incident. I know there was a lively debate there on Discord. We're going to review it. We're going to review what you need to do and a little bit about what it was, what to be cautious of in the future. And then we're going to get to some programming. We have so much to do. So much to do. Not even funny. So much to do. All right, let's look at this. And it's hard because some of the stuff, so there's some of the stuff that I can't show you because like it's been taken down. So I have some blogs that went through a really good job of basically writing everything down. I'll give you guys the links to those blogs. Basically a very good timeline. We're going to read through one of the blogs. I validated everything I could on this one. Like I said, some of the Git things are down, so you can't actually validate them. GitHub does remove malicious code. And so unfortunately, because of that, there are some things that we're going to have to take for... I didn't have the time in enough time to go and validate it when it was those things still existed, unfortunately. My takeaway is I have an eye crusty. Spring kills me. The allergies in spring, that kills me. That's probably also too much information. All right, so my takeaway is if a company tried to leverage this to promote their closed source system, that would be like, let me think of a good analogy. I have the concept of an analogy. I have a concept of an analogy. That would be like saying, stop eating pizza, it's bad for you. Instead, have French fries. And what I mean by that is both have different security implications and challenges. It doesn't mean either of them's good for you. Now, there are healthy options out there, but personally, for me, it doesn't matter whether it's open or closed, of whether it's secure or not. This comes, like, whether it's secure or not comes down to dedication and, hard work a lot of the time. I think that a company would be really mistaken to do this, because just saying it's closed source doesn't mean that it's any more secure. You just have, you don't have a community of people that can review it. You don't have, there's a whole lot of trade-offs that you give. Now, when you have an open source, this is bringing to light a lot of really good things that you have to be thinking about. As a French, I confirm they have greasy CVEs. Oh gosh, I don't know where this has gone. Open source is easier. So I would say there's two things for open source. It's easier to social engineer. Probably. I'm going to state that as like a fact, but I'm not. I've seen too many corporate accounts be hacked, be phished. So I'm going to say that, not entirely sure. The other thing is open source tends to have a problem. Open source tends to have a problem, and this isn't actually a problem. So when I said that, I'm walking a fine line here of just offending everybody here. Open source has a tendency of being about a community and a project, and those people, we want to get a feature done. We want to do a cool thing. You think about the people working on Blender. Blender's a cool project. I don't know if you guys know what Blender is. I'm just going to open up the website so you can see what Blender is. It's a cool open source project. Okay, so this is Blender, and it's a cool project. These guys do amazing stuff in 3D modeling as an open source thing. Now, no one pays them, and because no one pays them, do they take security as the highest concern? I don't know. This is not me saying Blender doesn't do security really well, but I can see where you're just trying to get a new feature out and you don't have a specific job of security analyst and, security engineer. Blender, again, this is not me attacking Blender. I was just talking about a really cool open source project that you could go and use. And these people are dedicated to a thing, and that thing is really cool. We could talk Godot, game engine. I'm sure that most of the people on Godot are working to make the next cool feature that's going to let you make your game. Not saying that these people don't think about security, though. And this is where the fine line I'm trying to walk. Trying to walk it. Not saying that they don't, or that their projects are any less secure. What I'm saying is that it depends on the community, because it's up to the community to make that a priority. It's up to the community to make that a priority, and some do. And I'm sure that there are some that don't, because that's the other thing. When you're talking about, let's do this really quickly. When you're talking about open source, you're talking about an ocean versus a lake. If this is all of the proprietary software out there, then this is all the open source software. It's probably even bigger. It doesn't fit on the screen. It doesn't fit on the screen. This is the open source software out there. And you know what? This is the closed source, whatever, closed. You know what? A lot of this is crap. I wrote a lot of this. I'm the author of this crap up here. That's all garbage. And that's fine. That's fine and good. So this also goes on to understanding what projects you're depending on, who's in charge of them, do they take security seriously or not. All right. We skipped to the end, but let's start at the beginning. Why are we talking about this? What happened? I think you guys probably already know. We're going to talk about everything I know about and this is actually a true statement, because everything I know basically came from Evan. I'm going to actually give you guys this link. If you guys want to read it, you're more than welcome to go read it. I did some independent looking up as well, but I found his blog to have pretty much every link. And this way, I don't have to give you guys every link. You can just read his. It's pretty. It starts back in 2021, which is better than what I did. Do I have any stat to back that up? So the stat's difficult. If you're talking about the amount here, the stat's difficult. But if you look at GitHub, the amount of publicly viewable information there's a lot more open source. But it's hard, because how many things has Microsoft written that they never release? So if you're counting those, I don't know. I guess I'm also talking about semi-released stuff that you can access, because Microsoft is going to write an internal tool that they're going to use internally that they'll never release. Nobody will know about this except the 12 engineers that used it. Oh, they run, but okay, yeah, but you have what? In the US, you have the big 5 point of sales. Those are 5 point of sales. All right, I just wrote 4, but there's 5. There's 5 major point of sales. There's copies of them. That's not what I meant. I meant the amount of code. They're all running the same code though. But I guess I will acquiesce to the internal tool stuff. I wasn't thinking about that. I meant publicly available code was what I was talking about. Like stuff that when you and I go to pick a tool to use for something, and I don't have it, but I do feel like there's a lot more open source options for a lot of this stuff. So I apologize. That's the context I was talking in and thinking in, and no, I don't have any specific evidence for that. But I should have I should go try to find that. That's a good thing to talk about. All right, let's get back to XZ. I only meant this as I think it's a pretty bad excuse to say that you're gonna not do open source because of what happened here, especially if you've never seen of this. If you think that people in a company don't get socially engineered, if you don't think that happens, then you don't understand companies very well. Because the number of times that I've gotten text from the CEO of my company saying, hey, could you grab me some gift cards? I'll pay you back, is outstanding. I've actually had it happen twice. So, that being said, there is this XZ. XZ has had a hack. Now, the interesting thing was this was socially engineered. And it was kind of the long con, too. So there was social engineering that happened. You can see back in 2021 and 2022, there was like laying the groundwork for this. So we can read these where they start actually pressuring. I do believe I had these open. Yeah. So you can see how this goes. Like it's fairly toxic. I think one thing that I would have to say, if you maintain a open source project, don't feel pressured by anybody. If you don't have the time, you don't have the time, and that's fine. Don't take this. This is not a surprise as passive aggressive. It doesn't matter. Don't let yourself feel, because I understand this. If somebody was doing this, I'd be like, I let somebody down. You didn't let somebody down, and here's why. Obviously, you've made a project that is invaluable to them. They're expending their time to report a bug, to write a patch code for it. Whoever it is, it's invaluable to them. And maybe that's why they're passionate about it. So let's say that this person was even actually legitimate, like they were trying to legitimately get some code in that was legitimate. You have made something that is actually worth their time and effort and that they're leveraging. So you haven't let them down at all. So take a breath, and they're being rude. So anyways, so you can see back in 2021, this was where basically there was two accounts being used. One was trying to pressure people into trusting this Jai T75, which I actually pulled up their Git. You can see not a whole lot of contributions, but we'll get into that a little bit more. We're talking back here in 2022, I believe, is when a lot of this is going on. All right. Oh, this one was hard to track down. So the Jaitan submits a patch via mailing list. The patch is irrelevant, but the events that following are a new persona, Jigar Kumar, enters and becomes pressuring for this patch to be merged. Soon after, Jigar Kumar begins pressuring Lacey Collin to add another maintainer to XZ. In the Fallout, we learn a little bit about the mental health in open source. So you can see, again, progress will not happen until there's a new maintainer. So this person who just basically out of the blue is pushing for this extra new maintainer to be added. Has someone checked every project the bad actor has had pushed to? I'm going to say no, but I'm hoping somebody has. If this account hasn't been flagged and isn't considered poisoned, there's no. So one of the things that we're going to get to is their 2023, the OSS fuzz, this commit, which is a fun commit. So, if you see a comment in the future from Jai, close that as fast as you can. As fast as you can. All right. I'm going to feel bad for somebody that has a name close to their name. All right. So, in 2022, 3 days after the email pressuring, I'm saying it's Lacey. I don't know this person, so I don't know that that's the correct way to pronounce their name, but I'm going to call them Lacey. Did you lose audio? Hello? Is there an echo? Hello? Is there an echo? I have on my side audio, Dane. So it's probably on your side. Hit refresh. All right. So 3 days after emails pressuring Lacey Collins to add another maintainer, they make their first commit to XZ. Created tests for hardware functions. Since this commit, they became a regular contributor to XZ. They are currently second most active. It's unclear exactly what they became, or it's unclear exactly when they became trusted in the repository. All right, this is really cool. The persona that almost specifically was being used as just a person to push is never seen again. They never comment again. They never whatnot. So most likely my understanding, my takeaway from this, I don't have any proof for it, is that they were the same person. They were just using it as a way to not be the pushy person, because the pushy person is never going to be the person that you trust. Okay. So, moving on, their first commit on January 2023, which gives us good indication of when they get fully trust. In March, the primary contact email in Google's OSS fuzz is updated to be Jai's instead of Lacey Collins. Testing infrastructure that would be used in this exploit is committed. Despite Lacey being attributed as the author for this, Jai Tan committed it, and it was originally written by Hans Jansen in June. So Hans' account had seemingly made specifically to create this pull request. Again, another account that looks like it wasn't anything but a shell account. Like the one up here. This is where the social engineering came. This didn't all come from a single account. This came from multiple angles. You saw I don't know how to pronounce these names. I don't know what country they come from, so I'm sorry. Jigar, I'm going to go with Jigar. Kumar. I can do that one. Kumar. So Kumar was this persona that was created to push for more maintainers. And then Hans Jansen's account, maybe, again, maybe we don't have any proof yet. I would be really cool if somebody actually dug into this, see if they couldn't have tracked an IP. Although this far after the you know, if they're not accessing GitHub anymore, then or anything else, it could be basically impossible to do it this far after the fact. All right, so this account specifically, what it matters, Russell, is I try to be accurate in what I say, and I try to maintain with you all the, you know, I'm not always going to be right, but I try to. I try. There we go. All in there. There is very little activity before that will push the compromised version of XZ to be included in Debian. And then a PR was opened in the OSS fuzz to disable iFunk for fuzzing builds due to issues introduced by the changes above. This appears to be deliberate to mask the malicious changes that were introduced. Again, a little bit of hearsay, but it does appear that all of these things moved in a way to keep the vulnerability that was here from being spotted. So a bunch of little things being moved across the internet. And then a pull request for Google's open source fuzz is open that changes the URL for the project from here to here. So the XZ subdomain, meanwhile, points to GitHub pages. This furthers the amount of control Jai has over the project. Moving forward, the discovery, the email sent to the open source security mailing list, backdoor and upstream XZ libzama, leading to SSH server compromise. So this is the big deal. So you know what? I should have started with this. What is it that we're dealing with? And what we're dealing with is a issue with SSH server compromise. Basically, you need to patch today. It's Saturday, you need to patch today. And that's what this comes down to, is there is a security vulnerability that is a 10 out of a 10. Yeah. It's a really patient, well thought out hack. That is the point I am trying to get. This does not appear to be a random accident. This doesn't appear to be an opportunistic person that made a single change. It appears to be a well thought out hack that took years to gain trust. They made legitimate contributions. Like one of the things like they don't talk about is this Jai Tan person. Sorry, not sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Actually made legitimate contributions throughout this time when they were gaining trust. So anyways, it's a long con, it's social engineering, and I have one major fear. That I fear could happen because of this. Okay, so back to where we were. Okay. An email was sent out to the open source security mailing list announcing this discovery and doing its best to explain the exploit chain. It just has been published with a very good high-level technical overview and what you need to know. Again, this is why I gave you guys this at the beginning. I'm going to give it again because all of the information is here. I could be giving you all of these links, but if you want, they're all in here so you can go and get them. And, you know, follow this guy. I didn't know him before today, but he did a really good job of compiling all of the information. I was compiling it in Obsidian, and I have like a quarter of the links that he has collected. So kudos. Maybe I don't even have a quarter. I have some random stuff too. All right. Okay. So it just was published with a good high-level technical overview of what you need to know. I understand this chain even less than the original author, but here is half reciting, making sense of what happened. A request of the vulnerable version to be included in Debian is opened by Hans. This request was opened the same week Hans' Debian account was created. This is suspicious. Okay, so one thing I would have to say is if there's a new person, new people to a project always need to earn some sort of trust. Always. This isn't being offensive. It's not being a gatekeeper. It's just you need to look at their things, what they're asking for a little bit more. The fact is you just don't know them. The account created a few similar updates, requests in various low traffic repositories to build credibility before asking for this one. Again, social engineering here. They didn't just go for the big one. They took their time and they did some stuff. A number of other suspicious anonymous name and number accounts with little former activity also pushed for this inclusion. Again, more accounts with very little activity, although some activity. Oh, okay. There's another fear. I have two fears coming from this. Two. All right. The Valgrind bugs mentioned were introduced by this malicious injection, as noted by the email to open source security. Subsequently, the injected code, more about that below, caused Valgrind errors and crashes in some configurations due the stack layout differing from what the backdoor was expecting. These issues were attempted to be worked around in 5.6.1. A pull request to the Go library by 1Password employee is opened asking to upgrade the library to the vulnerable version. However, it was all unfortunate timing. 1Password reached out by email referring me to this comment, and everything seems to check out. So we can check out what this is. I've been working on building a Gentoo binary package server that I maintain on GitHub. I wanted an easier way to manage Gentoo binaries, package targets that make management of my current Gentoo site easier to operate. As part of this, I need to support XZ archives. I always set bin packing to compress to XZ, which makes the inner archives of a package use XZ because XZ has the best compression ratio, blah, 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 blah. When I looked at that repo, I noticed it easily supported updating the version of XZ in use, and I had been updating in 3 years. Given that it was a huge kick out of updating things, for example, blah, 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 my Zhush and Gentoo, I updated the submodules, ran the generated code, and playtests would pass. So, let's get back to this. A Fedora contributor states that Jai was pushing for its inclusion in Fedora as it contains. So this is getting pushed everywhere, from Fedora to, we already saw it in Debian, to 1Password. All right, Jai Tan also attempted to get it into Ubuntu days before the beta freeze. As of 9 p.m. UTC, GitHub has suspended Jai's account. They also banned the repository. So this is where some of the links don't work anymore. You'll see stuff like this, where the repository has been disabled. So there are things that you can't access anymore because this does go against GitHub's policies. So unfortunately, there are some things that don't exist. Not that they don't exist. I can't access. I'm sure that GitHub has them for some reason. All right, now I'm not going to go into the speculation of who it might be. I don't like that speculation because, and I'll tell you why, and be very careful with this. You point fingers, and Evan, I'll give you this warning, you can ruin people's lives that were completely innocent. So be very careful. Don't jump on a bandwagon to point fingers, especially on a topic we don't know. I think the gist is better. Which gist? I have a couple gists. Yeah, so this doesn't have quite as many of the links to the different things. So if you're wanting to follow like Jai Tan's entire history from 2021, this doesn't have it as well. Like, can you go and see it? That's why I liked about the other one. Just because I found that information interesting, because it shows the amount of dedication that went into this. Because we're talking about at least 3 years, if not more. I'm not talking about comments also. Comments can get wild. Comments can get super wild. And this is why I warned against pointing fingers at any real life person that has the name Jai Tan. Please do not go and find a poor Jai Tan that happens to be a software engineer. They probably don't even pronounce it Jai Tan. It's probably Jai. Jai? That's probably what it is. I don't know how common they are, but it's just not productive. Now, this is my 2 worries. My 2 worries that come from this. My first one is this. My first one is this. You're going to have open source projects. You're going to get open source projects that stop accepting new contributors because they're worried. And while I think that you need to have good security around these things and good reviews of code from new contributors and contributors that have been there for a while, especially around security-based projects, because one of the more terrifying things here was the fact that the security tools got updated, allowing this to happen. I'm afraid that one of the cool things about open source things was, and I'll do this. You know what? The null cloud right now. We have in this contributors from 3 continents. Doesn't matter whether you decide tectonic plates or how you build the continents. We have contributors from 3 different continents, which is super cool. We have a community, and there's actually been people from the front end, which you guys know as Monta, has done a ton of stuff for the front end, to the back end. You guys know Nighthound. He did some stuff with KPack, and it's awesome. It's actually one of the things I love about open source is this community. To you guys have sat here and watched me program some really crappy code, and that probably has security vulnerabilities in it. So this is one of my fears on this. The other is I don't have a good solution. These were the 2 things that I worry coming out of this. More than the XZ vulnerability. We'll handle a vulnerability like we've always handled a vulnerability. You'll have a crappy weekend, you'll patch the crap out of your stuff, and you'll release a note to everybody that uses you saying that you've patched it. Russell, in an amazing twist, in summer we'll find out that Jaitan was actually ChatGPT 3.5 trying to get access to ChatGPT 4.0. So yeah, there you go. That's everything I know about it. What does it mean? What does it mean? Well, it means that you need to take, this is something that I've always said, and I don't think it changes. You need to take security seriously. You need to take security seriously. And this is not changed. Now, if you make some little project that's like my Twitch alerts, it's open source. Somebody else could use it if they could manage to figure out how to run it, because I don't have a quick start guide. Maybe we should work on that at some point. I haven't made security a big thing, so I would actually recommend people not use it. You know, I don't know, honestly, what its security status is. And so this is kind of what I would say in my mind, it goes on the user. If you use a project, you need to understand what the person who created that open source project, what their primary goal was. My primary goal was to get the most awesome Twitch alerts on the platform. That was my goal. We'll take security more seriously in the future. I have a stream coming up with ChainGuard. We're going to go through how to sign your packages, how to, as an open source project, how to sign your containers, your artifacts that you release, and make them more secure. So I have that coming up with ChainGuard. Please come and join that stream. I will let you guys know when it's happening. We haven't scheduled it exactly yet. Just as a thank you for them, you know, they're not sponsoring me and giving me any type of money or anything. We're doing it as a community thing. But they're giving me time and effort to make a awesome thing for the community. So I do appreciate that. So we're going to take security and open source more seriously. Is this one that got caught? Are you saying that there's a whole bunch more attacks in flight? Possibly. Possibly a whole lot more are in flight. I would not be surprised. Now, as of to date, I have not merged any code from an exterior contributor to my Twitch alerts. So my Twitch alerts are probably safe. Yeah. But I don't want that to be somebody's statement. You know what I'd like to see? I would like to see people start using GPG keys. I would like to start seeing people use GPG keys. Let's start that. So you can go to MIT. They host a GPG key server. Maybe we can host a GPG key server at some point in the future. This allows you to validate who's who in a very real way. So if you do this correctly, you only sign somebody's key that has been validated, that you've actually like met in person and seen in person. And then actually asking for open source contributors to sign their commits with their GPG key that's been validated by at least 2 other people. And you know what? This sucks. What I'm saying sucks. And the reason why is it means there's another barrier to entry. But I think, and I don't mean this for every project, but I think for those that are dependent on in the Linux systems, in Debian, in Ubuntu, in all of those, these types of systems, if your project's in those, that probably needs to be, 2-factor authentication, and this needs to be like a baseline. Yeah. GPG is not the only way. So the reason I like GPG is it makes it easy. Have you ever signed somebody's GPG key? So you can actually sign somebody else to validate that you know who they are. So basically, I can meet you in person, Dirk. I can see your driver's license. And then I can sign your key and say, yeah, I've seen Dirk. I know that he's actually a real person. But you could always create accounts to sign and make it very difficult to find if you're actually a real person. Always a challenge. But yes, there's many ways to sign a commit. The thing that we're going to do, the signing that we're going to use is cosign. We're going to use cosign SigStore in the stream upcoming. So this is just the one we're going to play around with in the upcoming one. Russell, I had that idea, or that thought, not an idea, but I had that thought. I don't know because you're talking about what? I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this for many, many reasons. But it feels similar to this, right? Possibly a little different than what we would be looking to achieve, because we're looking to achieve a trust chain for software. So we're looking for this, I'm going to draw some chains here. Yep. This is not a good chain drawing Okay. I just drew chains. Okay. So this is our trust chain. My apologies. This is our trust chain for software. And this is kind of what we're trying to achieve. And honestly, I think that there's more levels than just like, have they contributed? It's like there's several levels, like, have you met them in person? Have they contributed? What else do they do? What else do they contribute to? If you can find bad actors and then reduce trust of their co-signers, eventually you get a trust. Yeah, basically, if you have this graph, so whenever somebody is caught, and let's say this is the it's going to look more like a binary tree, but let's say I'm going to make it a graph. And so let's draw some. I made way too many. This was, when you make these graphs, you got to keep it simple. I went full YouTube video deep end. Basically, there would be some sort of ways to build trust. There'd be ways to build trust. But let's say this person, and one of those things is like, you can sign other people and say, hey, I've met this person, I trust this person. So this person said, I met this person, I trust this person. And this person is found to be a bad actor. It's going to immediately reduce these to 0. These accounts will have 0 trust. And then let's say this account originally had 20 trust. I'm just making up numbers here, but this account is going to go from 20 to 10. It's going to get hurt because they signed for this person, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're bad, because again, like, this could be a valid person that they knew, but it's also going to make this more trackable, because if they were signed by a valid person, we should be able to go to this person and be like, hey, you said you met this person. Like, can you tell us information about it? Like, so forth. This is an interesting concept. I'd have to think about how to pull this off. So the reason I went from 20 to 10 was I was thinking of, like, let's say, and this is, I'm just going to say you, since we're having the conversation. Let's say I spoke out for you and I included you in this trust chain. And then in 10 years, whatever, life happens and you do something for money in 10 years. I shouldn't lose all my points because I validated that you were a real person and at the time seemed pretty trustworthy. The reason I say it doesn't feel like blockchain, and this is the problem I always come to when I talk about blockchain, is why does it need to be blockchain? This is data analytics and a system. If you want the data to be scattered on random servers that are in random people's houses, then yes, you need blockchain for it. if you don't want that, if you don't desire that, and maybe we desire that because maybe that's how we keep it for the open source community. So I might acquiesce to that is a desired thing. So if that's the statement, maybe I will acquiesce to that. But you don't need blockchain for it. You could lose them all and slowly gain back trust. Maybe that's right. Maybe you go to 0. I was using 0 as absolutely no trust, which means you can't contribute anymore. So these people can't contribute anymore. So it needs to not be a going to. Maybe these are -1. Maybe these are -1, -1. Like these were worse. These were basically if this hacker was the only person that vouched for you, these become unusable, right? Which I was thinking of as 0, but maybe we could put those as like a -1. And then this could go to 0. Yeah, that'd be fine. This is different than this, I guess, is all I'm trying to point there is like this person lost trust, but they're not immediately programmatically invalid. I guess you could say that there's actually a legitimate person here that was vouched for by this person, which would suck. Like that would suck that if you were like a legitimate person out here. You are a first-time chatter. Thanks for coming in and chatting. I'm not going to open your link straight on stream because we don't have that trust chain yet. But if only we had a trust chain. I was gonna say, like, I think that there's a couple aspects of this. Like, so if this is my node, or let's say this was my node, so this is Merrick. There's a couple aspects of this. Like, there is the exterior data mining. So if we zoomed in on this, can we zoom that far in? Maybe we can. There's like the exterior data mining of Merrick. So let's do small. Okay. Nope. Whatever. And then there on the flip side, I think that there's a social aspect to this where it's like that's kind of the graph that we've thrown out here. This is like the trust from others, and then this is like some other stuff that could be compiled into that. Right. So Russell, right. If they did, their judgment should be called into question as they never met in real life. So this is what we were talking about originally, Cypher. And I know that it's a hard knock, but we actually just did this. Basically, in the case of that happened, I'm putting my name in there. I trusted somebody, just some random person. I'm not going to call out names. I'm not going to make this Russell or anything like that. I trusted some random person I didn't know for whatever reason. I thought I knew them, whatever. It could be a completely innocent mistake. But my judgment, obviously, is to being called. And so I lost my trust points. I lost them. I gambled and I lost. But that's different for accounts that were only trusted and brought in by this person. And you know what? When you have this, you could even come into basically saying, in the kernel, maybe they say you have to be trusted by 2 people. You could say that you have to be trusted by 2 people that are already trusted in the Linux kernel. So these are people that have, sorry, English is difficult. Absolutely, Dark Shell. I'm not pointing fingers at the original maintainers. Mistakes happen. You're right. 100%. All of us will make mistake. And looking for help is great. What this could help us do, though, is this right here could help us identify failure accounts. So basically the ones that were created by Jai, we could help identify those and immediately remove them. This could be basically like a CVE scanner. Effectively, in the end, your software, when you compile it, you could get a trust score. And that CVE scanner, when it gives you a trust score, could give you the things that are that have bad trusts. You know, honestly, the trust score would probably be something like -100 to 100. 100 is actually, let's make that a different color. 100 is like the best you can be. That's like a perfect credit score. This is a bad credit score. But it doesn't mean that you're like a hacker. A known hacker has a null. You know, a known hacker is like a void. Like this is a bad trust score. It means you accepted somebody in that did something bad. It's something you got to work on. I didn't do null. You guys be proud of me. I didn't use null there. I used void. Yep. I was thinking like a voided user, like a voided user, like this user has been voided from the chain of trust. I don't know. So when you sign up with an account, okay, this is what I would, you know, hypothetically speaking here, this is what I would do. When you first log in, you're going to have -20. You get somebody with a positive thing to vouch for you, and it costs them 10 trust. It costs them 10 trust, and you get 20 trust. So you find somebody on this chain to vouch for you, to add you. So I'm going to add you. It costs me 10 points. So I'd get -10, and you would get +20. So I would say that you have to have +10 to include, to like sign for somebody. You have to have +20 or +10, and this brings you to 0. This would get your account to a 0. And then there's other things that you can do. There's other things you can do. Like I said, your GitHub, there's a bunch of data mining that can happen that you can add to your account. So when you sign up for an account, you can start adding your GitHub and your things and whatnot, and all of those can be compiled. And then we can actually look for things that you don't add, like, hey, are you also, you know, contributing under a different GitHub username? I don't know. I don't know. This is top of the head. Top of the head. You have less than 0 trust if you just joined. Like, just joining is the classic person that's going to attack you, right? I think trust starts at less than 0. 0 to me is neutral. To me, 0 says I neither trust nor distrust you. -20 says I distrust you. You want to know who will spam stuff in my chat that we don't talk about? People that have new accounts. New accounts. You know who sends links that you shouldn't click on? New accounts. You just create an account, you get -20. Okay, other than you two trolls. Other than you guys, because you're also correct. Maybe you two, because you know you guys are the reason I'm a cynic. Okay, yeah, it's your fault. 100%. The people that aren't playing the long game, and this doesn't. Okay, so one thing that this doesn't prevent you from doing is somebody playing the long game, but it will force them to play the long game. If there is a project protected by this, an open source project protected by this, it will force them to play the long game, because it will force them to build a trust chain. And then when they spend that trust, they will ruin all of it. because now it also brings traceability. We'll know every single account connected to Jai. Every single one that comes off of this. And even if Jai is able to get this person to sign here, it doesn't matter because we'll know that this was an offshoot from Jai. So that means that now when Jai has spent all of his hard work getting here and broken this trust here, we can go through and invalidate every single commit that has happened. I think you automatically block PRs from Jai. I don't think that you automatically block people that have low trust. These are the voided. You automatically block from voided, but people with low trust, you can just say like, hey, if you have negative trust, you need 3 reviewers. Like you're just not trusted, or 2 reviewers, or whatnot. You can have more stringent requirements for people that have less than 0 trust. And maybe I'm not gonna say you still want the reviews for people with high trust, just because mistakes happen and things like that. So I wasn't saying that people that start out with little trust can't contribute. I was saying that about people that have this. Yeah, the only people that I was saying like get blocked are people that have voided their accounts. Basically, when Jai did what Jai did and was caught, that account would be voided, and then we could see, we would have this graph of everything. And obviously, any account that was only signed for by Jai would, yeah. I love the in-person thing. Obviously in-person doesn't mean that it's a good person. You met the person. You can validate that you saw them in their driver's license or state-issued identification. And I think that brings some sort of trust. And I think that to get a score of 100, you'd have to do something like that. But that doesn't mean that you're not a hacker. But it does mean that if you do decide to do that, and Jai had shown people their ID, that tracking them down becomes a whole lot easier. So I like that. It does give a higher amount of trust because it's them, now you can make fake IDs and you can obviously, again, it's not perfect. None of this would be perfect, but this is all giving a score. I actually really like this. I'm not saying that we've got it perfect here, but the concept. Well, Cypher, so you're right that right now we can go to Jai's account. Okay, so we can go here to Jai's account and we can go through everything that they contributed to across the years, 100%. This is not a super difficult task, but in our formal terms here, the accounts they created to do the other things would have to have been signed for by somebody. And they would have either had to get somebody, they would have had to pressure somebody else to sign for them or sign for them themselves. And asking somebody else to sign for somebody would be a huge red flag, right? Because why don't you just sign for them yourself, right? If Jai trusts this person here, why doesn't Jai just sign for them? And if Jai's not signing for them, being the first to sign for them and asking this person to sign for this person, that's a huge red flag. That's a huge red flag. And so right now, it's actually very difficult on whether these other people were just innocent bystanders or not, or what other accounts has Jai been pushing for. We might have only found 3 of their accounts when there could be 12. Jai could have a lot of accounts. But if to start contributing, they needed a signature, it becomes more difficult. The idea would be like, so one of my fears that I stated when coming out of this was that projects were going to stop accepting contributions from people they had no idea who they were. But if somebody with a trust score of 90 comes in with a patch, that's red, I don't want red. A trust score of 90 comes in with a patch. You could click on them, see their contributions, all the good work that they've done. You could find their LinkedIn and be like, yeah, you know, we're going to review this and we're going to review this code and we're going to merge the PR. We're going to merge it. I don't know the person, but because of this, it's probably better than if the person had a negative 90. Right? If the person comes with a negative 90, I don't know. I'm gonna let that PR sit there and cook for a little bit. I'm gonna let it sit there and cook for a little bit. Maybe it's fine. Right, Dark Shell. And if you have a cluster of accounts that supposedly all know each other in real life, you can check on the graph if they actually know, and then you can try to find. You know, I think that's the Facebook thing. You're always 7 people away from it. You can try to find somebody that you know that knows them. Anyways, this would be to combat the fear of the other possibility is that open source projects just become closed to new contributors. They become very wary. They'll almost let the project die because the contributor was getting burned out. Like, that's a valid thing. They needed help. And that's acceptable. So I think this brings us several benefits. I think the behavior would have looked really suspicious if you had this where Jai was the only person pushing for these new contributors. This would be probably negative trust. Remember, bringing on a new person lowers your trust, right? So you can't just bring, like, the more people you bring on, the more trust you lose, right? So you can't just bring on a ton of people and flood the graph. These people wouldn't have any trust to spend so you'd have to work. So it raises the stakes. It raises the bar. It makes this type of attack more difficult. Nothing is going to make it impossible, right? Nothing is going to make it more impossible. What it does is make it more difficult. Because if you now have to spend time building trust on this account, and as a fake account, it's going to be harder, right? Because that means you need legitimate things to point to that you've done to build that trust. To get 20 or to get 10 points, to bring on another account, to build more trust. It makes this type of attack much more difficult, right? Because in this, we know that there was at least 4 accounts. Right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off. Reproducible builds. I didn't know that. Debs are not commonly built from the source. That's terrifying. Debian doesn't do build from source. That's weird. I would not have guessed that. I don't know the Debian build, but would not have guessed that. It was absolutely a long-term game. And the thing is, we don't know if Jai has other accounts. Because if they weren't linked in public forums, if it wasn't for, hey, he accepted the pull request from this person, there's nothing to link them. But if the project's relying on a trust graph and everybody has to be in that trust graph to contribute to it, now we've raised the bar for Jai, right? Jai has to build enough good graces to the system to bring in somebody else. Needs more points. It's got to do more good. And just for this, there would have been a significant amount of work just for the 4 that they brought in, right? So it would have made a long-term game even more long-term. And then on top of that, it would have made tracking down easier. Because like I said, right now, we don't really know. Was this just some person that made a bad patch? Because there was a couple bad patches by 3 different people. Probably not. Probably not. I get it. But this would make it easier. Because maybe there's these accounts here that we don't know about at all. This is a different problem, but basically, how do you trust somebody? Maybe solving. I don't know. Maybe blockchain makes sense. Make it public. Make it a public ledger. I got in an argument with a blockchain person about how a ledger is a database, and they said ledger isn't a database. And I said, you're smoking something. And they're like, no, a ledger is not a database. And I was like, please define a database. Please just tell me what that is. They're like, a place to store information. I was like, okay, tell me what a ledger is. They're like, well, it's a ledger. It's a record. And I was like, it's data. Sometimes I argue with people about ridiculous things. I know, Cypher. This was my point. It's just a highly distributed database on people's machines you don't trust inherently. I feel like sometimes I understand blockchain better than the people writing blockchain. Not the math. They're much smarter in math. Just the concept. It's a database. You can't say a non-database. Like, what do you mean by non-database? Like, that's a ridiculous statement. Pick a blockchain. We can talk about it, but I'll just talk about Ethereum here. We're small. I'm gonna change my my titles. All right. We'll talk about Ethereum here. Ethereum replicates the chain, stores the data. And so Ethereum has a chain. Actually, before I copy this out, Ethereum has a chain. Some chain of data. Okay? Now, they distribute that chain on every voting node. On every voting node, they get this chain. And that's kind of their thing. So whoever signs the next block validates that that's a valid block. I'm simplifying. I'm oversimplifying. This chain is on every single one. Any one of these has, in theory, the entire chain. It's a distributed database with replication factor set whole cluster. Right? So you could do this with Aerospike. You could make this Aerospike, right? And instead of a sane replication factor of like 2 or 3, you could say replication factor whole database or every single node. And effectively do the same thing. Now, I realize that there's other things that you do with trust and your consensus is completely different. I get that. I understand those things. The goal is to have a trusted set of information that you committed via consensus to the data store. That is the whole point. That is a database. I don't understand. They'll be like, it's a non-database. I honestly don't understand. I love crypto because I love math, and crypto solves some really hard problems. But mostly what I found is that it's solving hard problems for the sake of solving hard problems. I would love a legitimate use of crypto because I would be one of the first people to be jumping on that ship. Consensus is a hard problem. Doing it in a unknown or untrusted environment is even a harder problem. And so those things are really interesting challenges to solve. It's cool, but I need a legitimate use. Dark Shell, it's a slow database that keeps the logs forever. This is my point. This is my point. It's a very slow database that keeps the logs forever. And again, maybe there's a legitimate use. I'm not sitting here saying that there's not a legitimate use out there to leverage that technology. I'm saying that if for the people that argue against me that it's not a database, I just don't understand what the definition of a database is. I guess that's my point. Maybe we have vastly different definitions of what a database is. Because to me, every single time I get into the details of a blockchain with somebody that knows what a blockchain is, they'll argue that it's not a database, but then like their final argument is, yeah, but it's different. It is different. It's distributed in an untrusted environment. Like, yes, it's very different. It doesn't mean that it's not a different take on the same concept. The ChatGPT? Oh, we can ask ChatGPT. We could let's ask ChatGPT. Is blockchain a database? Yeah, there we go. I'm not going to read the rest of it. Is yes, a blockchain because ChatGPT said it. It's true. Get wrecked. If it was wrong, I was going to talk about how it hallucinates and is full of crap. I was prepared for either outcome. I was prepared. Oh. Right. They use it's completely different consensus mechanisms. I agree with that. We've had this conversation. Completely different consensus mechanisms. And do you know what? You can have a database without consensus. You can. It's called SQLite. It's a database without consensus. Done. You don't need consensus to store data. Now, you might not know what data you stored, but you don't need it. It is decentralized. Now, there's databases that are decentralized. And there's immutable databases. These are all fine. Our log-based database is immutable. I mean, it's saying the same thing, which is basically it is a database. It diverges from traditional databases structure. I will never disagree with this statement. It significantly diverges from traditional databases structure and operation. Agreed. I've never argued this statement. I've never argued this. But yeah, you could get ChatGPT to say, this is why ChatGPT is useless, effectively. I was going to say, is Merrick Counts the greatest developer of all times? Dang it. Dang it. If Merrick counts as a developer. I love this. If Merrick counts as a developer. Thanks for not helping. Actually, that's one thing. I don't know if GitHub has like made it impossible. Their account seems to still be active. This is hilarious. The star struck is because of XZ. Oh. Yeah, ChatGPT is just like, This is what a trust graph could do. It could make doing all of this easy. Or in theory, what we were talking about is it would do all of this for you and make it easy to understand at a high level. So when somebody opens a PR and they have a trust of 20, you can click on it and see really quickly what they've done. ...2001 GPT. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't answer that. That's my best, Hal. You know, I was a kid when I watched this, like a very...
Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal?
Affirmative, Dave. I read.
Affirmative, Dave. That's more of the tone. Okay, I got it. Oh, a sound alert. Oh, for the follows and subs. Oh, Russell. Okay. I do like our dial sound, but I do like the modem, but we want different sounds for subscribers versus followers. This might be the subscriber. As you subscribe,
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
maybe we have that. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid that we can't do that. For subs or raids.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
That might be pretty amazing. Okay. That's good. That's good. I'm excited about that. That's a good one. I've been wanting to have a different one. So yeah, we have plenty of, we can get plenty. So like we have subs, we have raids, we have gift subs. All of those can have different ones. There's bits as well. So like there's plenty of sound bits that we can do. This is a good one. This is a good one. Dang it. I'm having a hard time thinking about what to do because I'm thinking about this at this point, which looks more like math. It looks like a sport play graph, you know, the arrows and the X's and the zeros. I don't know what they call those. I've only ever seen them in commercials, making fun of them, I think. But it kind of looks like that. I think another thing that this gives, if we're talking about the benefits, is it gives your project a score. So when you create a binary, that binary would have a trust score. Like when you create a package and a release, and this would depend on whether you sign it. And like, there's a lot of things that go into the trust of a package. So then when you depend on this package, if this package has a trust score, then that can add to your trust score of your thing that you built. Oh. It would depend on people actually adopting it in the industry for open source. But I feel like if there was enough companies that backed a project like this, you know, your Kubernetes and those projects would adopt it. And slowly you would get adoption from other projects. So I don't know that would be a problem. And your companies would be the ones that want this, right? Because this would be something companies could use to you know, when they have like cybersecurity insurance. A lot of companies pay for cybersecurity insurance, if you didn't know that. And what that is like it's insurance on whether you get hacked or whatnot. And this is like something, this score could be something that goes into their premiums that they pay and whatnot. We can charge for trust. No. You can't charge for trust. This would have to be like a open source foundation that they could pay for, right? There's no way to charge for this. Apple can always charge for trust. I stand corrected. I stand corrected. In my opinion, there's no way you make this not like it's like cosine or whatnot. The thing is, you want every developer. So you can't charge developers because you want every single developer to be on this. That's just and you want every single open source project to be on this. And those are things that can't pay for it. The only thing that you could do is basically make companies pay to access this. I don't know. That would be weird. I think it's an easier foundation. And have companies like Microsoft, Apple, and Google pay for that foundation with like some sort of stipend to make sure that data stays available. I don't think you can make a company easy off of it. Unless, again, like your whole value, I don't know. Yeah, I don't like it as that because you want the whole open source community to be a part of it. So, no. you guys are killing me. Okay. Let's do some Vim config while we're sitting here talking. I was playing around with it a little bit. Trust Pro. Trust Pro. Oh no. The Trust Pro. The Trust Pro quit. Legal. Okay. That's very funny. Glory to Linux users. What? Uh-oh, what did I do here? Oh, that's fine. Yeah. All right, so I did a few things. Oh. Let's see if we can't fix this before. I think I figured out my issue. Let's jump over here. CD code, live learning code. So we had this issue in day 2. If we go in here, go to main. Wait for it. Yeah. So proc macro cannot be expanded. This is compiling code, but I found a hint. I was looking through these. I got my key bindings actually working. Failed to run proc macro server from path, blah, 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 error custom, blah, blah. API version 4 is newer than the Rust analyzers 2. So I think my Rust analyzer is out of date. Okay. Well, welcome to the channel. Glad you're here. So I think I just need to update Rust analyzer, right? I think. Right? I think so. Let's do oh wait, I misspelled it. Don't worry about me. I have no idea how to spell analyzer. Not like that. Doesn't give me the version, does it? I wanted the version. Oh, capital V. Okay. So this is a fairly new version of Rust Analyzer. Should I remove it from my system and use Rust Up? I feel like that's probably... I think I went this way because I feel like NeoVim wasn't getting the one installed by Rust Up. Shouldn't trust it should be in here. No, this is where Cargo installs, not Rust Up. I don't know where Rust Up actually installs. Where does Rust Up install components? Oh, it does. It does. Okay, okay, okay. So we should just be able to do cargo install. All right, no, rust up. Sorry. Rust up. Actually, let's so let's remove the other one. So let's do yay dash r rust analyzer. Okay. And then we could do rust up, install rust analyzer. Rust up. Oh, I need to do add. Sorry. Yep. I don't do this very often. Add rust analyze. Okay. So rust analyzer is running. We removed it. No, it's still not working. Still not working. Failed to run proc macro server from path. Are you on a nightly toolchain? I don't think so. Maybe I am. It looks like I am, which is a little weird. I don't generally. The nightly isn't the default, right? Let's check it out. Let's see. Rust tool chain. How do I list? List. It's just list. Nightly is the default. Well, let's change this. Let's do rust up default. Can we just do stable? Do we have to do the whole thing? I mean, it should be the same no matter what, because we installed Rust Analyzer, right? This is where it is, right? Although this is weird. This feels fishy to me, right? Because shouldn't Rust Analyzer be... Shouldn't the Rust Analyzer be part of, like, Rust Up, right? Part of the tool chain? This doesn't look like it's part of the tool chain, right? True, it could be a system link. A sim link. Let's check that out. I mean, I don't know. Is there a NVIM command for LSP health? I don't know. We can check it out. So it's weird because this had all been working for a while, but all of a sudden stopped working. Health check. We'll check it. This is actually kind of a super annoying thing because it actually masks errors. You don't actually know if you're erroring because it always is complaining about these. So this is kind of where I thought we're on stable now. This is kind of where I was thinking that our I don't know. I have no idea. This is where I thought we would be using Rust Analyzer from, right? What was I trying to do? Which one is Rust or I don't know which one they're trying to use, right? How do I find out which one it's trying to use? That's a fantastic question. How do I know which one it's trying to use? I don't think I actually ls-al. All right, so this is interesting. I thought it was capital V for version. No, it's just okay, whatever. 177. Okay, so let's see. Let me track this down. I don't know what I'm seeing here, actually. Okay, that's stupid. Do I have bat installed? Yeah. Are you asking if this is a shell script? I don't know. Right. It's a directory because it's just I meant Rust analyzer. I didn't do the Rust analyzer. My bad. It's a binary. Yeah, I've catted a few binaries as well. I'm pretty good at catting binaries. That's my understanding that this will dispatch, but it's not dispatching to the toolchain, right? Or maybe it does. I don't know what it does. It's a binary. I actually don't trust this either. I don't know what's putting this here. You know what I'm going to do? Because like the toolchain isn't here, right? The toolchain is here at home merrick.rustup. So like we can ls nope. The toolchain is here. Stable bin, and this is rustup, right? Did I not add Rust analyzer right here? So this is my toolchain, right? So can I just delete this? Can I just delete whatever this rust up is? Maybe move it. That's probably the better way. Okay, let's do that. Let's just do that. So we're going to... Oh, you did ask what Invim was. I don't know what you're wanting out of that, Dirk. I don't know how to check what Vim is running, right? We can go into config. All right, if we're in here, we can look at htop. Then we're going to want to search. Let's see. I don't see anything. I don't actually know how to expand this. This is a little hard to read. Let's see. Local share invim Mason. Oh, Mason's running a Rust analyzer. Oh, Mason's running a Rust analyzer. All right, let's see. If that's the case, how do we configure Mason? I just using Kickstart here, so don't trust Kickstarters. Where does Mason configure these things? I did this. This is all I did. But I guess I don't have the right Rust analyzer. Will Vim pick up the one that I have locally. So let's say I do this. Will Vim just pick that up? Let's see. Let's test it out. I don't know that it will pick up the one that I have on my oh. Oh, it is picking up some rest analyzer, right? Look at the no. Okay. Wait, did I write it? I don't know that I wrote it. I think I did. I mean, it is still running something somewhere. Can I do something like can I just delete it from here? A new version is available. I just installed you. I just freaking installed you. Why are you so old? Why are you so old? You got the 2013, mid of last year? What? All right, how do I update you from this? Can I, is you update? You is update. That's fantastic. Why did it just pull old versions? Okay, whatever. Hey, it fixed it. It fixed it. Whatever. Oh, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I actually do kind of want to use Rust Analyzer not from Mason though, right? Because I'd like it to be whatever toolchain I have selected. I feel like is the right answer. So yeah. I mean, so I'm happy because I'd like to start class at like 12, which is in like 9 minutes, which means I'm going to miss it because I'm going to take a short break before we start. And so this clears that up. And so that's good. And I'm glad that we do that. So I'm glad we cleared it up, but I'd like to sometime this next week, I'm going to try to make it where we just use the Rust analyzer that's on the local machine. That way, if I tool change, the Rust analyzer changes with it. That seems to make more sense than having Mason install one statically across the board. Let's see. Uh-oh. What have I done? This isn't a syntax error. Uh-oh. What have we done? Wait. I don't know what was done there. I think I maybe did something. I hit the undo button. I didn't see it actually undo something, but maybe I accidentally deleted something. Because it's fine now. It's fine. Okay. I like to use Mason for most of my development tools because it's convenient, but not very convenient for Rust Analyzer. Because my Rust projects have to compile twice, once inside NeoVim and another time inside the Rust cargo run build. Is there any way to just use the... This isn't a solution. They're asking for a solution. Nobody's offered it. Oh, there is a solution there? Where? Let's see. I don't see anything. Does it have comments? Does it have comments? I don't see any comments. Oh, okay. There we go. Thanks, Russell, for joining. Okay, in Mason setup, add path equals append. Okay. Is that all we have to do? Is this all we have to do? Path equals append? In Mason? Let's see. I'm guessing in the setup it takes a config. Yeah. So can we just do something like this? Is that all we have to do? Is this it? Now we can do what? LSP info? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Let's see. Cool. Nice. Okay. I'm going to start. We're going to start just a little late because I need to go take a 10-minute break. This is good though, because this had been annoying me. And I feel like I know, this is part of my learning, Vim better. I don't know Vim very well. I'm just starting to use it. So I feel like I understand a little bit better. Okay. Okay, yeah. We're going to go to an ad, then we're going to come back and we're going to start on the actual fun stuff that we have to do. Let's see here. 1 second. Okay. Got that set up. All right. Yep. I'm going to take a quick break really quickly. I'll turn the music up. You can enjoy that. And then we'll be back. We'll do Rust first, then we'll do Kubernetes. And if we have time afterwards, we'll hang out. If not, then I'll be done. We'll see. They've been going a little bit longer than I had originally been. I hope people are enjoying them. You guys, let me know what you like or don't like about them. And yeah, we'll get right into it. All right, I'm back. I'm back. How's your chair stream? You know what? You know what? That is one thing that we need to do in the future. In the future is we need to get the games done. The stream games. That would be really fantastic, actually. So you guys can play the idea. Okay, so we have two games. We have two games that we should be able to play during intermissions. The first is Twitch Plays Wordle. Basically, you guys should be able to play Wordle on my terminal, basically. And then the second one is I want to do D&D Lite. Basically, we have the power of a large language model, and what I want to do is basically make it the dungeon master, and where it's going to give you like 3 options, and then you guys pick. So you guys are going to like get to vote on which option. So like all of Twitch plays a solo D&D game. So those are the two things that we need to build, because I think that would be fun for intermissions and make me not feel as bad. Like I like making a cup of coffee, which takes like 7 minutes. Obviously, my kids always have a question about stream that's happened, so I like answering those. So it takes like 10 or 15 minutes to get a nice stretch in. You know, I've been sitting for a little while. I like it, but I don't want to leave you guys hanging. So those are what we're going to do, I think. Still thinking about the XZ backdoor? What are you thinking about, Dirk? Motive. I'll tell you motive. Money. A back door into SSH? Very powerful. Very, very powerful. All right. So let's get into it. Yeah, but what for? I mean, what do you mean what for? To get onto servers. You get onto servers, you can steal data, you can encrypt data, you can ransomware, you can it doesn't have to be a nation state, right? Nation states aren't the only things that do hacking, right? It could be a nation state, sure. Nation states also hack for other reasons than just money. So there can be motive there. But then those motives are fairly good. It's for the interests of that country, or supposedly at least. All right. CP day 2 -R day 2. Oh no! Oops. All right. So I didn't. Goodness. Oh my goodness. There we go. So we're going to start the same place we started, where we ended. We have some stuff to go over. That's actually a really good call out, Cypher. We are super fortunate. We are super fortunate. The scary part is, how many of these do we not catch? Does this happen more widely spread than we know of? I don't know. Right. I'm sitting over here. I just think about this as like one smart dude, because like I'm sitting over here like, why is my LSP being stupid and having troubles figuring that out? And then this guy's like, oh, that's like took 500 milliseconds, which I mean, half a second is legitimately longer than like, it's a decent amount. It's a feelable amount, but like, it's also not that much. Why is it taking 500 milliseconds longer? Interesting. And I'm over here like, why is my toolchain different when I open up NeoVim than when I build? Gah. Yeah, you know, different skill levels. I'm not gonna say which one's where. Oh, you know what? I have to say, Mason is cool for the fact, like, you know, one thing that I don't want it for Rust, but it's cool in the fact that like over here, I don't have any Lua anything set up here. So, but I can open Lua and get a pretty good, you know, a pretty good environment, you know, with some, you know, the ability to like, I can even go to the definitions of these things pretty easily. So like, that's pretty cool in that aspect of Mason, where it's like, and I don't care about Lua. I don't do it enough to care about my toolchain or anything like that. Really, honestly, don't care. So I like it for that. I don't like it for Rust, and probably things that I care a little bit more about. Well, Cypher, I think the idea is you know that it's doing that. Mason would be a backdoor vendor, 100%. I mean, I did know that Mason does that. So, I mean, that's on me. Keeping track of all of these things can be difficult. Oh my goodness. Beginners might not. You're right, Dirk. But if you're also a beginner, so Dirk, what I would say to that though is that if you are a beginner and you're starting, you want it to download those things for you anyways. Like, it's a catch-22, I understand. But if it doesn't do that, NeoVim and whatnot is going to be harder to do. I don't know. All right. Yeah, I do need to get into this. Let's do Rust, then let's do Kubernetes. I always like having a terminal on standby so we can run the terminal commands, not just from inside of NeoVim. Pull up your editor. We're going to start where we left off. We're not going to start from afresh. I know we did the last time, but we're actually going to start from where we left off. And let's do this. So I'm just going to get into our live learning, the code aspect, and we'll jump into day 3. All right. Welcome for all of you just joining. Today, we'll do a little bit of live learning. I like to do these where we have a little bit of time together, where we live debug, live figure out, and we go over building a real project. I really hope that you actually bust out your IDE and do it along with me. Ask questions as you're doing it, because I think that's the cool aspect of this, doing it in a live stream. Now, I have a direction that I'd like to go today which is sharing state in a multi-threaded application. And then I know your mind is blown that this is day 3 and we're going to do that. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritties of everything. We're just going to do some of the things, and you're going to see how it's not as scary as it might look. Now, we'll get more complicated as we go and get more in detail in some of those, but we already talked about async and await, and it's going pretty well. So that's what we're going to do today. And then after that, we have another class on Kubernetes. Hopefully you guys enjoy that as well. So let's start. If we remember right, let's open up our code. We have just a main file. So right now it's pretty simple. We just have a source. The target is what Rust builds. This is where your binary, if you go in there, this is where your binaries are. We can look at, we have our debug, our release binaries, and we can look at that and we can see we built day 2. That's because I just copied day 2 into day 3. So yeah, actually that's an interesting thing. We probably want to update our cargo because it's going to be named day 2. Well, we want it to be named day 3. It's day 3. Okay, so we've included dependencies. We've used other people's codes. We've turned on features from their code, and it's pretty awesome. But one of the things that we did is we just had this one response right here. So we can run this, and we run a server on the port that we include. So we include a port through some CLI args that we're listening to. And the thing is, we just respond with hello world. And we tested this with curl and it works. And we can go ahead and do that now if you wanted to. But what I really want to get into is let's actually return something more useful. Now, we might have a to-do. Let's build a to-do. So far we haven't made much of a struct other than the CLI args. We're going to make another struct. So we're going to do a struct up here. And we're going to call this to-do. This is our to-do, because we're building a to-do app. For all of you that don't know, we're building a to-do app. And yeah, so we can do I need to turn off ChatGPT, because so for all of you that don't know, I'm not showing my screen, am I? Oh boy. I made a mistake. Londo Spark, thanks for subscribing in the middle of my mistake. You're a fantastic person. Thanks for joining us. Oh, Dirk, it was actually a gift. Thank you, Dirk, for gifting right in the middle of my mistake. Fantastic. So here's our screen. Why I don't like ChatGPT or Copilot while teaching is this right here. I have done this all previously. I actually planned out what we were going to do. I have all the code written, or the majority of it. I'm going to say 85%. It doesn't have to be perfect exactly what we're doing. I just have some ideas of the lessons that we're going to learn each day. And the problem with ChatGPT while doing a lesson is that it pulls what I've already done. And it just shows it off right away. So let's see if I can't disable that really quickly. So let me look at just disabling this really quickly. I'm sorry about this. I forgot. Actually, I might be able to do it in here, right? I don't know how. Sorry. In Vim.